Hello and welcome to, I don't even have any title what I want this channel to be, so it doesn't really matter, but I wanted to go over some seasonings and staples in the kitchen that I use. And I find that if you can use both these seasonings and these products and have them stocked in your kitchen, you can fix a lot of mistakes, because as I always say, 80 to 90% of cooking is fixing mistakes, just like life, babe. Okay, let's go over seasonings. 1 second. Oh, okay. We've got our seasonings. This is just the bare minimum seasonings, okay? I'm then going to add a few more that I just like to use in cooking. Again, it depends on the flavor profile you are cooking with. If you tend to lean more into Asian cuisine, then you're gonna have more like soy sauce and ginger, garlic, like those kinds of things. If you are more into Mediterranean, then things like dill, parsley, turmeric, like we'll have an idea. But that we're not gonna put the cart before the horse. Anyways, obviously salt and pepper. I know this seems like a standard, but I find that most people,
we add salt and pepper. I think we needed salt and pepper.
No, there's no salt and pepper in it.
most people, generally when they don't enjoy the food that they're cooking, for me, it's a lack of seasoning. You are not using enough seasoning, okay? I find that just adding the basic bare minimum seasonings can really elevate anything that you cook. Okay, salt and pepper, like I said, I prefer pink Himalayan salt. I never use table salt. I don't use it in anything, nothing, unless I'm doing like a witchy thing. I'm not ingesting it. That's the only time. Otherwise, I am always using a premium salt. Again, if a budget is an issue, you can always buy in bulk. They're wait for a sale. I find that salt isn't generally too expensive. But for me, I would rather cut corners with other things than with seasoning. So again, it's just up to you. Oh, of course, garlic powder and onion powder. Okay, I don't care if the recipe calls for fresh garlic and fresh onion. The majority of the time, I'm also going to include these. It just tastes slightly different. It's going to taste slightly different than fresh garlic. It's not going to be as strong, but I am a garlic girl through and through. If I could, I would eat garlic cloves all day, every day of my damn life, if I didn't want it sweating from my pores. Or if I wasn't hoping that a vampire would come swoop me up, steal me from this world. Okay.
Hold on tight, spider monkey.
Number 1, smoked paprika. I put this in so much stuff, even if I'm making like a basic breakfast, okay? If I'm adding potatoes, I'm gonna add smoked paprika. What is the difference between paprika and smoked paprika? Well, this has like a smoky flavor to it. I probably should have Googled what really makes it different, but I find that the regular paprika, which is just essentially bell peppers cooked, I find that paprika has a little bit more of a sweet flavor. This is more of a smoked flavor. So for me, if I'm doing like deviled eggs, I'm gonna use regular paprika, right? If I want like a gentle flavor. If I want to just cook up my flavors, like cook them up a notch, kick them up a notch, I'm gonna add smoked paprika. It's just that the flavor is just out of this world. What might I add it to? Roasted veggies all the time. I'm always adding it to roasted veggies, adding it, like I said, to potatoes. It really makes all the difference when you add that, and I'm using it quite a lot. I add this to soups a lot. And speaking of soups, Mexican bouillon. I live by this shit. I also flavor my rice. That's another thing. If you find rice to just be boring, you're sick of eating rice, add flavor to it. Again, if you have high blood pressure, you probably are going to want to skip this, because too much sodium can be bad for you. I generally just drink more water, and for me personally, that's not an issue. So I use this instead of regular bouillon. I'm going to throw this in. You can also add this to your salsas. I can add this, like I said, to my rice. Anything that is soup based, I am including this in it, because me personally, I prefer the flavor of this over regular bouillon. I believe when I was reading the ingredients, it had like chicken fat. That's probably the difference. Yeah, chicken fat. I thought it was chicken skin, but anyways, chicken fat, and that to me makes all the difference. I love this. I'm kind of trying to see if I can find a different brand that maybe has more organic ingredients, but Italian seasoning. Love this. This, like I said, any soup base, I'm going to add anything that calls for several herbs. Like let's say it's calling for, they want thyme, oregano, and what's the other one? It's in parsley or something, right? Anything basil. If it's got at least 2 of those ingredients, I'm just using this. I'm just skipping instead of adding this, that, and the other, unless it's a very, very specific recipe, which for me, generally, you'll find when you watch this channel, every recipe is a guide, and I just intuitively add what I know, and I believe that most people, that's how they should cook, unless you're like my boss, love her, but she says she could burn water. But yeah, this one is freaking outstanding. Now we're gonna get into some more niche seasonings. 1 sec. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, like if budget is an issue, just slowly build this. I slowly built my spice cabinet the same way I slowly built my apartment. When I first moved into my apartment, all I had was a bed and a TV and a pregnancy pillow. I used my pregnancy pillow as a couch to sit and watch TV. on the fucking floor, and then I went to bed in my bed, and that was it. And now that baby's fully furnished. Okay, same thing with my spice cabinet. Also, if you've got a friend or you have a big family, go to Costco, get it in bulk and split it up with people. Just try to think of inventive ways to cut corners, because we got to in this economy, right? I mean, the price of everything is absolutely astronomical. So anyways, anytime I'm doing anything that's a little bit sweet, like let's say I'm even just making something plain like oatmeal, okay? Cookies. I am going to include pumpkin pie spice instead of just regular cinnamon, because it's gonna have nutmeg, it's gonna have cloves. Generally, there's like a lemon peel. I prefer Trader Joe's brand, but Frontier Coupe. Again, Frontier Coupe is a little bit more pricey, but they have better ingredients. And like I said, I prefer not to cut corners when it comes to seasoning, because it makes all the freaking difference. They generally have like a lemon peel added to it. It's just phenomenal. I also add this to pancake mix. That is my secret ingredient, okay? You add a little bit to pancake mix. People will be asking, what do you do to this? Literally nothing but seasoning, okay? 9 times out of 10 people say, what did you do to this? Seasoning and love, okay? Also, of course, just plain cinnamon. Something I also like to do, if you are cooking fish or something.
Ew. What does that smell? It smells like bitch.
I have a very, very sensitive nose, and that's the one drawback to cooking, is I hate the fact that I can smell it on my clothes, I can smell it in my hair, I can smell it in the damn house. And if it's colder, you can't be having all the damn doors open. So obviously air filter, top thing you want to do. And then 2 is a vent or fan. Fortunately, my kitchen at home, not the one that I work at, does not have a vent. So anyways, what I like to do is I like to get a pot of water, make a little witch's brew. You add a little bit of water, you can add a cinnamon stick, star anise, which you can just find it, it's got a little star shape, lemon, orange slices, all of that. Oh, excuse me. I'll put that in water and let that low simmer, and that will help with the oils in the air. You can even add a couple drops of vinegar if you want. Now, if you don't want to do all that, I literally will just put pumpkin pie spice and like whatever fruit I have, apple slices, okay? And I'll just throw that in there. That's a good one, okay? So for my rice, I love to add turmeric, because turmeric is so good for you. It's anti-inflammatory. The only thing is you want to make sure you add a little bit of pepper, because your body will not absorb it properly unless you've got black pepper with it. So like I said, I like to add this into the rice. It also changes the color, which is beautiful. You can add this to your vegetables, and I really like I said, adding this to my my rice. I forgot to grab it. I don't want to stop this video, but cumin is amazing. Cumin, it had me cumin because it's so good, okay? That shit is amazing. Some people don't like it, but I love that flavor. It just gives it a little bit of a kick. So I like to do a lot of both Asian and Mediterranean cooking. So my Mediterranean cooking, sumac. This is so good. This is so good. Again, if you don't want to get this, you can just kind of do something like this in seasoning, but I like to put this in meat as a marinade. I'll add it with some oil and a little bit of lemon and this, and it really can make your chicken amazing. I also like to add this to when I'm pickling onion. Put this in with onion, a little bit of vinegar, water, and lemon. Amazing. Okay, chipotle chili powder. This one's a little niche too, okay? I like this. Now, the family that I cook for, some of them can't handle too much spice, so I don't go too crazy with this, but this will change it and give it that extra little
kick you in the crotch, spit on your neck, fantastic.
Je ne sais quoi, that little special thing. Again, where people are asking, what's different about this? I add this to my chicken noodle soup a little bit. I'm talking like 2 pinches, okay? Or if I'm making minestrone, I will add this. Just a little bit goes a long way, and it's so good. Okay, now, I personally, when I can't think of what to cook, I can't think of a side. Of course, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, or I'm gonna Google it. TikTok is great for that as well. But I find that a lot of recipes or things that I do involve dressings. I love a dressing. I'm a condiment girl through and through. Love a good dressing, but there's nothing better than a homemade dressing. A good base for a homemade dressing, not necessarily base, but added ingredient is either going to be tahini, that's a big one, miso paste sometimes, and of course, Dijon mustard. Getting a good quality Dijon mustard. This does not last long in the fridge because of how many dressings and sauces that I make. Okay, that is another thing that can really amp up your food. If you're finding your food is boring, make a nice little dressing or nice little sauce. If you're watching your weight or you're trying to be cautious about the ingredients, add some water. Okay, like I said, I do a lot of Asian cooking. Toasted sesame oil, top notch. Okay, I don't care if I'm just having freaking ramen or I'm having girl dinner and I'm just eating a full plate of pot stickers. I'm going to add this a tiny bit at the end when I am charring the pot stickers, or into the soy sauce that I'm dipping it in. If I'm making ramen, I'm adding this into the base of the soup. It's amazing. Soy sauce is also good. I personally don't really love soy sauce, so I use liquid aminos, which is generally very, very similar. I just prefer that flavor more. You can use coconut aminos if you're trying to avoid soy or gluten. That's a good one. Like I said, this, amazing. I've also noticed that tomato is a good base, or is a popular base in a lot of recipes. Again, we're using it all as a guide, but our base, our main thing, oftentimes is something tomato related. So I try to always stock tomato paste, because if it calls for tomato sauce and you're like, oh shit, I forgot to grab it, or I ran out, or whatever the case, you just use tomato base with some water, mix, mix, mix. There's your tomato sauce. Again, also canned tomato sauce. Inexpensive. You can buy it in bulk at Costco, or wait till it goes on sale and buy a bunch, and that shit's gonna be good in your fridge for several years. I got this earlier this year, and it's not gonna expire till late 2026, okay? Diced tomatoes. Depending on what you're cooking, amazing. If I'm doing Mexican dishes, oftentimes I'm gonna do fire roasted. If I'm making a salsa, this is what I'm doing. Because again, in a perfect world, I would love to just get tomatoes and fry them up and then cook it, but I am doing more than that. I'm cooking, but I'm also cleaning, I'm getting the kids off to school with their meals, whatever the case may be, on top of like my regular life. I don't want to be sitting and doing all that shit. So the way oftentimes to make things better is to cut corners. So I like to always stock it with this stuff, because that has gotten me out of some issues. Or if you have a whole recipe, you have all the ingredients, you fuck it up and you mess up, you're gonna need more. This is what you're gonna do. It's the same thing like this safe space. When I'm, instead of having a bunch of things to bouillon, I just do this, okay? I also use a lot of beans, because most of the recipes I make, if it includes meat, I'm gonna include a meat-free option for the boss lady, because she's trying to avoid meat. So I'm gonna have things like tofu, because that lasts long in the fridge. I'm gonna get that when it's on sale, or I'm gonna stock up. I'm going to have more beans. Like, she's also English, the girl loves beans, okay? So we're gonna have like baked beans in there. Kidney beans are really good. I prefer a navy bean over any of the other white beans. And garbanzo beans. Garbanzo beans, I'm gonna have a lot of those, because those are just so versatile. So stock those up. And if you find that you get really gassy, rinse the shit out of those beans. I mean really, really rinse them. And that's gonna make all the difference. Lastly, dill. Like I said, Mediterranean food is chef's kiss, my all-time favorite. So I'm going to include dill in a lot of stuff. Like I said, seasoning will kick up your meals so much. If I'm making something simple like eggs, if I've got cheese in there, if I've got feta, goat cheese, whatever, I'm gonna mix that in and I'm gonna top it with dill. That flavor is underused by a lot of people, and it's so, so amazing. So you can buy, I prefer fresh dill. I do not like dill weed. I very rarely will use it unless I'm in a pinch. I prefer regular dill, and you can even chop it and freeze it and add it to a little bit of oil. So that way you can have these things last longer. If you have any questions or you want any suggestions, let me know. Be sure to subscribe, send it to your homies, and that's it. Bye.